Hi, good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I see Max. One sec. Hello.
Hi,
How are you?
good. How you doing?
Good. So just before we get started, I just want you guys to know that we do record our consultations. It's on the form and everything. So just heads up on that. Other than that, go ahead and fill me in on Augusta and with whatever goals you're having with her or you're wanting with her, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So I don't know if you know her. She goes to daycare there already right now.
Mhm.
But basically, she is really smart, but really stubborn. So she does tons of, I guess, things in the apartment and like will sit, stay, recall anything. And as soon as we add in any type of distraction or take a step outside of the apartment, all training goes out the window.
Mhm.
So we're basically just trying to work on some obedience so that it transfers to the outside world and not just our apartment.
Mhm. Got it. Um, Are there any what are the specific commands are you looking for to be able to have them transferred outdoors? Is it more like the attention you're talking about?
Yeah, so I guess specific commands like recall would be
Okay.
amazing. Even just like leash walking, if that is like she pulls a lot, and we've tried lots of different training with that, like walking with treats and all sorts of things.
Hmm.
Um, I think those would be the two biggest two. I don't know if Max, you want to weigh in? You're on mute. Oh,
Yeah. No, I think like you said, once we're out walking, um, she gets just tunnel vision and she pulls and is, on the hunt for squirrels or whatever. And so it gets to be, um, I mean, it's been fine for the most part. It just gets, it gets a little old. It makes walks a little bit less, appealing to go on with her. I would say the only other thing, um, she is very like she doesn't bark at other dogs or other people or anything like that, but or even at squirrels and stuff that which seem to be her favorite. But at us specifically, she's constantly needing attention if we're both home, if we're sitting on the couch or eating food or whatever, will just bark at us. And, we live uh, in a, in a larger building and it has been an issue with neighbors in the past.
Got it. Okay. Anything else, guys?
I would say those are the big three.
Got it. Okay. Um, so yeah, Augusta, um, while she's here, she plays fine. She's very social. She's quiet in the kennel. I think the only times I ever see her like go into like that mode at tunnel vision is when the phone rings and that's like it's Augusta leaving. And then she's just like only one who's like dad or mom, they're here. And I can kind of see the pulling there. Um, so I think what a lot of what I'm hearing is all just coming from like overstimulation. So the barking and the constant pulling outside is because there's no there's no job for her to do. She's just go, and then she's just like, and like you said, the tunnel. But she's just into this mode of she's not really thinking. She's just doing whatever is there. Oh, what's the smell? Oh, what's that? What's squirrel over there? Who's that? Who's coming by? who's coming down the sidewalk, who's that dog. And then physically, yes, you can be exercising her, but mentally, she's not getting that mental stimulation. So she's just always just like wired, always going, going, going. And then, you know, we'll hear the same thing where like the owner would say, I take my dogs for like 6 walks a day, super long, treadmill, fetch, all these crazy things. And my dog is still having energy like at night or when we go home. It's all just from overstimulation because they're not getting the mental part of the walk. Because you guys walk her on just a regular collar, right? Is it? I think it's like a slip. Is it a slip collar or just a regular collar, right?
We use a front lead harness when we walk her, but just the normal leash, yeah.
Got it. Okay. So with the harnesses, we tend to kind of move away from them, just because in our experiences, harnesses are just how dogs are. Dogs tend to want to go against the pressure. So they have what's called opposition reflex. If you pull back, they want to go forward. If you're pulling forward, they just want to go even back even more, and they just kind of stiff up or just not move. Left, they want to go right. Right, they want to go left. So the harnesses are a training tool still, but they're used for like huskies. They put training harnesses on huskies to pull the sleds. Horses have harnesses, and then we also use harnesses for our protection trained dogs. So we have the dog on a harness, and then there's the guy across with the bite suit ready to get bit. We pull on the harness, then we relax. We pull, release, because when we pull on the harness, they want to go forward. So we let them go forward. They get that space or that time to move, but then we pull them back again. So now they're just getting frustrated because this harness is telling them to pull, but we're not letting them pull. We get a little bit like we're kind of teasing them. Then once we see enough frustration and aggression, we let the leash go and then they go and bite the guy or whatever it is. So sometimes unintentionally, owners could be doing some protection training with their puppies when they're getting that harness, because it all starts from there. Because as a puppy, you know, owners don't want the flat collar because puppy's going to choke themselves. So then they kind of go for the harness, because you'll see the stickers that says no pull harness. It's an oxymoron because they are meant for pulling. So as the puppy is on a harness, owner sees dogs, they kind of want to keep moving, they just pull the puppy away. But the puppy wants to go say hi to the dog, but then it looks like nothing. But over time, as a puppy keeps going through this experience of I want to go say hi to the dog, and then gets pulled away with this, because it's annoying negative pressure, right? So to kind of put it into perspective, you've probably seen it, or in like the movies where like there's these 2 guys at a bar getting into it, and then one guy has his buddies like holding back, and then you see that guy start to like push even more. It's that same thing. So over time, that puppy's like, man, every time I see a dog, I get this annoying tension on my chest, and I can't say hi to the dog, and it just keeps happening, and eventually the constant pulling towards dogs turns into barking, and then that's where you get the frustration, and then that's where you get like the reactivity, the reactive dogs, because they're so frustrated they want to go say, whether it's friendly, I want to go say hi to the dog, or you know, I want to kill the dog, whatever it is. But eventually that frustration could turn into aggression, because dogs are very mouth-based. Mm-hmm. So to release stress and frustration, they use the mouth. So like for humans, we have like a little like stress ball, right? We squeeze it to like get the stress out. Same thing for dogs. Once they get to the other dog, it might not be a friendly anymore. It might be a bite, because they just need to release that frustration on that dog. So even if it's a front clip harness, we still see the same results. And even if it's a regular flat collar, you can still get the opposition reflex on the dog, just depending on the dogs. Most of them are different with that type of stuff. But that's why we don't use harnesses. And there's other training tools out there like gentle leaders. Gentle leaders are the ones that go like around the snout and then back on the head. Those are a good tool as well. We use those for our puppies just because we don't like the harnesses, but we also don't want any trachea damage to the throat. So gentle leader is good. to kind of control the whole body, because if you control the head, you control the body. But it's just like a band-aid. So we have to look at the root, right? The symptoms is the pulling, the barking. The gentle leader can stop the pulling, but it's not going to tackle like the barking in the home because she's still overstimulated. She just has like a little more control on your walks. Does it make sense?
Yeah, and I might be misunderstanding, but I want to clarify. She only barks in our apartment.
Yes, that's what I mean by the overstimulation.
Okay.
It's all just because there's, how do I say, when owners go through our programs and they start to understand how the e-collar works and how the discipline and structure is in a dog's life, they start to notice changes in other aspects. So I had one owner, I'll give a few examples. One owner had a dog who was obsessed with glares and lights and would stare at the wall and just drool, just like, it was like, they're like just gone. 3 weeks into the program, without directly addressing that behavior, it just went away. She just stopped doing it. Another owner had a dog that was really kind of always hanging around them, always glued to them. Again, 3 weeks into the program, they're like, where's Bella? Oh, and then they go up and she's just kind of laying in her bed upstairs, like she's minding her own business. So it'll make sense as I explain it, but it all comes from overstimulation. Everything you're saying is overstimulation, and the one way to attack it is on your walks, because owners walk their dogs 3 to 4 times a day, about 30 minutes each. So it's like everyday activity. So that's why it's the best way to kind of work with your dog and help your dog. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding right. So thank you.
No worries. So the reason why we don't do positive only, we do positive only, but we only do it for 6 months and under. Once a puppy gets to 6 months of age, it's big boy, big girl training. So food is fun for like puppy stuff and, paw, spin, place, all that fun stuff, but it's not going to be reliable, because what you're explaining is that there's a very low ceiling with positive reinforcement, and it almost needs to be like a controlled, quiet, closed room for the dog to be able to kind of how do I supposed the word succeed in that positive reinforcement. Once you start to bring in other things in, so like squirrels, right? Dogs tend to want something. So like, for example, Augusta sees a squirrel. You have your turkey. Augusta's like, she's probably thinking, I've been getting turkey all day. I'll get turkey later, but the squirrel I might not get. So she's going to go for the squirrel. So that's why we don't do it, because there's not that much success with it. And if there is, it can take like years. There was a video of a Labrador, a puppy, who started on positive reinforcement, and then they show the dog like 3 years later outside. They just started going outside with the training I think with the dog was 2 years, and the dog still wasn't even like 100% there. So it's like, I mean, it works here, but then they're also in like an open field and there's no one there. So it's like, well, yeah, the dogs might be good, but even in the video, the dog's still not good, but I guess it could be better. But so that's why we don't do it. And it can also be kind of discouraging for some owners. Owners tend to get really frustrated with the positive reinforcement, as we've seen. But then there's other tools as well, like prong collar. You guys know what prong collars are?
Yeah.
They're like those spiky ones. They're supposed to mimic a dog bite. So the reason why a lot of dogs have success with prong collars is because it's a physical tool. So it's giving physicality to Augusta. So in dog world, dog language, dogs can't communicate with words. So if Augusta's at the dog park and she's jumping all over this older dog, right, because she's so happy, she's excited, but then this older dog is like, I'm not having it. How do you think that older dog will let Augusta know to stop that behavior?
Either bite or pin her.
Correct, yes. So dogs don't say off, leave it, or sit, and then I give you a treat for leaving me for doing a good job. They don't neuter each other. They don't spay each other. They also don't give each other medications. It's just, you're going to do this behavior. You're going to get this consequence. And then boom, bites Augusta. Augusta's probably going to be thrown off like, whoa, okay, I'm going to go do something else, play with another dog because you didn't like that. And it's just like that. So that dog bite is just how they communicate. So the prong collar is supposed to kind of mimic that. And that's why dogs tend to understand it very quickly. There are some, so those are like the pros. It's definitely a step forward. It's an aversive tool. So it's giving that structure and discipline for Augusta. But what can happen is if Augusta is so overstimulated or really wants a squirrel, it's possible she could override the prong collar. So it happens a lot with like our bully breeds, like the pitties and the rotties and German shepherds. They tend to override it because they're tougher dogs. And then also, funny enough, our golden retrievers and like Labradors tend to override it as well, just because they're so happy-go-lucky that they're just like still wiggling, like what's going on. You can still teach heel, stay, sit down, come, place with the prong collar, but then your issue is you take the leash off and then you have no control, because prong collars tend to break easily as you keep using them and taking them apart. So then if it falls apart one day, it's just, well, there's no way to communicate to Augusta. Which then brings us to electronic collars. Do you guys have any questions so far?
I don't think I personally don't.
Okay. And then you guys did research on us, and we use e-collars and such, correct? Cool.
Yeah.
What do you know anything about e-collars?
Minimal, I'll say.
Okay.
Actually, what I know is mainly from Maddie that used to work there. Is that?
Mhm.
Yeah, her videos like pop up all the time, so I've learned like some stuff from her, but minimal.
Nice. Yeah. Was it on TikTok or Instagram?
Yeah.
TikTok, yeah. Yeah. So it's she explains it very well. E-collar, a lot of people tend to call it shock collar. That's the old school term. It's not shocking your dog. If I were to be using shocking and like tell you to shock your dog, it sounds very like negative. It's a very negative word. But it's electric, yes, but it's not electricity flowing through the dog's body. It's just, you've probably seen in her videos how it looks. It's like a collar, a little box, and then there's 2 contact points. So whatever those 2 contact points are touching is what it's going to be contracting. Have you guys ever been to a physical therapist or a chiropractor?
I have. I used to work in physical therapy.
Oh, nice. Are you aware of the TENS unit or like the stim?
Yeah, I had it on my knee, so I know it well.
That same feeling is how e-collar feels.
Okay.
So from when Jesse's had physical therapists as clients, they would feel it and they're like, oh, this is the exact same feeling. And if they have any concerns about it or if they're worried about it, after once they know what it is, you just see like them feel so much better. Like, oh, we use this on my patients all the time. So it works out. I think
really
one of them. Say it again.
That's really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. One of them even said that, I'm not sure if this is a common like practice for all therapists, but one said that they start low and they kind of work their way up on the levels, and then once the client is like, okay, that's enough, they lower it a little bit down, and then they let the machine do the rest of the work. Mm-hmm. That same way is the same exact way we do it for our dogs. We go by the dog's kind of reaction. So, we start low, we work our way up, and once Augusta's like, hey, I feel that, it's like, okay, we start there. The brand we use is called Dogtra. Jesse has used other brands in the past. Dogtra has been the one that he's had the most success with, and just the best results come out of that brand. Dogtra has 0 to 127 levels of stimulation in increments of 1s. So there are other brands, if you look them up, there are other brands out there that go up to like 8. You'll see like an 8-level e-collar. 8 and R 127 that power outage is the same. We just have so many more numbers to be more specific to the dog's personality, the breed, or like the scenario we're in. So don't think it's like 100 more levels. It's just we can be very specific with it. They're waterproof. They're very simple, very easy to use. It's just your dial and then your button. What else? The battery lasts a very long time. I think I only have to charge mine like once a month, maybe like less than that.
Okay.
But waterproof, and then especially with Augusta's fur,
Yeah.
you might need a different contact points. So it comes with I guess they're 1/2 inch. She would need to get like either extended probes, so they're a little longer to dig into the fur, so it's not like, so everything's just consistent. Or there's these other probes called winged contacts. I think Maddie uses them. You might have seen them, how they're kind of like, they're like these little wings, they're like copper. They go out and then in. So then they're like kind of getting into the fur and wrapping around her.
Okay.
But we can play that by ear as we go along. But definitely either way, as I've seen her, it would be the best to switch them out, because those are not gonna make contact at all. So any questions about the e-collar itself?
Is an e-collar comparable to like what dogs that have electric fences use, or is that totally different?
They're the same.
Okay.
Has she had one before, or?
She hasn't. My childhood dog did. So I'm familiar. I guess I'm more familiar with it than I thought, but in a different setting, just in like the backyard.
Yeah. With the e-collar fences, I think those are like supposed to be at a higher level, because you need to make the dog concerned enough to not cross a boundary.
Right.
So they're technically the same. We're not going to be like blasting dogs though, and that's also a common assumption, is kind of I say sit, and if he doesn't sit, do I just press the button? They're talking about e-collar being used as like a punisher. So if the e-collar is used as a punisher, you're gonna see a dog not really understand. So if that's practiced that way, I say sit, she doesn't sit. When you press that button, she's probably gonna be like, she'll sit, but then like kind of back up, like what, and kind of look confused. But she'll still sit, but she's just like kind of overcompensating. So what we do is called pressure work. So basically, pressure is turning on when she's not complying, but this is all done with help. So have you ever had to pull up on your leash and then push down on Augusta to make her sit?
Haven't tried it.
Okay. Some owners have, but usually if they want their dog to sit and they're not listening to the verbal, they'll pull up on the leash and they use their other hand to push down on the butt and they sit. So pressure turns on, right, when you're guiding the dog, and then pressure turns off when they sit and they comply, and then you stop. So the only thing we're doing here with the e-collar, just to kind of give you a picture, is we'll still do that, but now we're adding the pressure. So now we're tapping, and then they go, and they're like, oh, okay. When I feel this, I put the butt down. So as they get the repetitions of this way, then they understand what this means. So it's more of like a motivator, not of, you don't sit, I'm gonna blast you with this. So for the e-collar and how it would help Augusta and what we need to be doing with Augusta to get that progress, like I said earlier, is giving her a job to do on these walks. So the first thing we would need to do is teach her, the first exercise we do is called heel. Our heel command is like our walking command. Our heel means walk with me, stay with me, sit when I stop. So if I take 5 steps with Augusta, Augusta takes 5 steps. If I take 10, she takes 10. And then when I come to a stop, she's to automatically sit with her shoulder parallel to the leg with a loose leash in any environment. I don't care what's going on. That's how she should be walking for your walks. That's strict. So there's a few things that's being covered with this command. So although it's obedience, we're teaching this, it's an obedient command. This still addresses other behaviors because of the idea behind heel and the discipline and the structure behind the command. So if her heel is really good and we're using the e-collar, we're at a level that's really concerning to her. So that means she's concerned about the training, right? So if Augusta's not concerned about the training, then there's no point of the training. So if we get her really concerned and she's like, man, I gotta be right here. One, she shouldn't worry about anything else. So if there's a dog passing, she's thinking, nope, I have to focus on here because this is gonna be more important than the dog. Because the dog isn't doing anything. The dog's not coming up to her or rushing her. It's just walking past. The squirrel's just running away. There's, nothing's affecting her, and nothing is like real. So for example, if you see a ghost and you're afraid of ghosts, but then there's someone with a knife at your side, you're probably gonna be more worried about the knife, right? Because the ghost is not real. This is real right here. So same thing for dogs. This is real. This is actually touching her. The dog isn't touching her. The squirrel isn't touching her. So we're kind of teaching her this exercise to address any other distractions in the environment. So then you'll get the attention there on its own. We're also teaching her how e-collar works. She's learning that, okay, when this turns on and I do this, it goes away. Okay. And as she keeps getting repetition, she's going to learn that she is the one in control of it. And then because she doesn't, dogs don't know where the e-collar is coming from because there's nothing attached to you in the feeling. So dogs tend to think it's like the universe, or I think one owner said like it's Big Brother to them. I'm like, yeah, sure, it could be Big Brother. But they don't know where it's coming from. So there's good things and bad things with that. But the good thing is that there's no yelling, there's no emotion, there's no confrontation. It's just, you're just simply pressing a button. So she's learning how the e-collar works first. We're also tackling the walking, your leash pulling and everything. And then how the overstimulation is addressed is again, we're giving her a job. So it's very mentally tiring to be focused and to keep the shoulder parallel to the leg. So you're going to start to see her become a little more tired on your walk after your walks. Don't look at it as like sadness or depression. She's just being more calm. So sometimes owners are like, she's a lot more like, she doesn't really what is it? She's not excited anymore. She's not really jumping. She's not, she's not goofy. She'll still be goofy. It's just that she's gonna be more relaxed in the home because she's getting all the what's the word? She's getting what she needs on the walks, right? She's getting the full experience and the exercise mentally and physically. So that's also a common concern is like personality changes, or when my dog hate me. Dog won't hate you because dog doesn't know you're pressing the button. Personality doesn't change. We've never seen it. Dogs are still goofy when the owners want them to be. They never, Augusta is always going to be playful and run around and everything like that with the other dogs in that social setting. So basically, we teach you heel. Let's see what it fixes. If it's like, hey, Enrique, she's doing great in the home, but she still wants to bark here and there at like a certain time, then we'll teach you how to address that, right, on its own. But most of the time, that stuff just goes away. It's all coming from overstimulation. So it's just, we teach you this command, see what it fixes, and then we kind of just go from there of like what you're needing for Augusta or what else you want to tackle with her. Do you have any questions so far?
I mean, that sounds great. And I understand the idea behind it because we talk all the time. We'll take her for a long walk, like a 40-minute walk, and then come back and she's immediately like grabbing a toy and wanting to play still. So I understand the like trickle down of hoping that like that fixes other issues. My one question is, I guess, is there any verbal cue with the heel, or is it just the e-collar? Because we've used the word heel before, so I don't know if that will be like an issue.
Yeah. We do use verbals with all the commands. So when you start your training, we're going to be starting over from scratch.
Okay.
Because right now, like when you say heel, what does she do?
We only do it in the apartment, but she stops next. Like, I'll walk through the apartment and then say, and she's walking next to me, and then I say heel, and she sits next to me. Like, I stop and say heel.
Good. So then she already has some sort of like foundation with the word. Outside though, we wouldn't be using the word because heel means like nothing to her outside. Indoors and everything in context, she knows what heel means. We'll start from scratch still, just so that we can kind of reshape heel and give it more meaning. So if a dog doesn't know heel, or if they have the word heel and they don't really like, they're not responsive to it, I'm not going to say heel right off the bat, because the dog's probably not, they're not going to like, what, heel here at the facility or here at Oz Park? Why am I going to do that? So we teach the behaviors first, and you're going to find this as we go through the programs, whichever one you decide on, but we never use words right away. We shape the behavior. Once the behavior is consistent and we like how it looks, then I'll label it. Does it make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I just wanted, like I said, you to know, because I don't know if that changes anything.
Yeah, no, it'll be fine. Any other questions so far?
That was my only one.
Okay. So we'll see what that fixes and how the overstimulation kind of progresses and everything. What else did you mention? And then recall. I mean, e-call is the only tool that can get you to the off-leash recall, because the system has a mile-long range. I don't know if you would use a mile, but if you had a mile, you would still be able to touch your dog from a distance. But that'll be taught as well to Augusta if that's something you want to tackle with her.
Yeah, the reason we brought that up is like in instances of like a not fenced in park or like at the beach, it's sort of the same thing. If there are other dogs around, she's interested for a few minutes, and then it's like darting to find a squirrel. So we don't have her off leash ever right now.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, we like to give the full, because this e-collar can give you a lot of things. So we like to have the owners take advantage of everything, because if this tool can get you off leash control, I want the owners to have that experience, because it's just they have more fun with the tool with the dog, and life is like, they can do more activities. So it just gives you more fun activities to do with Augusta. So that's good to have. Anything else I missed about Augusta? I think it was just like leash pulling, the barking in the home. This is all coming from overstimulation. Anything else from her?
Those were the big three: that recall, barking, leash pulling.
Okay. So some common questions owners have, some other common questions owners have with the e-collar in the program is, like, when does the e-collar come off? So like, do they graduate from it, or do I always need it? Or like, do they need to wear it 24/7? How does that work? So on your walks, even after your program, the e-collar should always be on. It would just be on for emergencies though. So we can't predict what's going to happen on this walk, right? So let's say we're walking and then a car backfires, or a firework goes off, but it's not even the 4th of July. Something suddenly happens that freaks out Augusta. We've heard a lot of stories where, dogs pull owners to the ground, leashes slip out the hands, collars break, dogs flip out the collar, or the dog is basically running away. So if Augusta is running away because of something that occurred, we call that flight mode. So when dogs are flight mode, they're thinking kill or be killed. They're running for their life. So Augusta come might not work, because again, she's running for her life. It may work just depending on how important that word is and how much practice we've been doing to recall. But even then, I wouldn't even take the time to say anything. I would just go to my remote, override the flight mode, then so she can do the 180 and come back to me, right? Because that's like, oh my gosh, I need to stop that, and that's where you have your remote. In the home, and definitely off leash as well, you would want the remote there too. But in the home, if it's just you guys and Augusta, nothing's really happening, she's relaxing, you're relaxing, then you don't need the e-collar on. Let's say you're gonna have guests come over and you know she kind of gets excited, but she means no harm, obviously. Or maybe you have a guest coming over and they don't like dogs, maybe they're afraid of dogs. 30 minutes prior, you would collar her up, address whatever that is needing to be addressed once the guest comes over. And then if you find that Augusta's pretty much relaxed and minding her own business throughout the stay of the guests, then you can take it off. If you want to keep it on just in case, that's just up to you there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And it's not like in the future, like once you complete your program, like that's it, you're set for life. It's not like you're always pressing a button. You're going to be pressing a lot as you start, but as you go along, it should become less and less and less. So like for my dogs or Jesse's dogs, you'll hear us say that we press a button maybe like twice or 3 times a month for emergencies. So it's just there in case. And you'll even, oh, sorry, what?
It's like a safety net.
Correct, yes. You'll also notice that you might see her be more behaved when the e-collar is present. So to kind of give you another picture, do you guys drive on the highway?
Yeah.
Do you guys go the speed limit?
A little over.
Why not?
I don't have a good answer for that.
But if we're all kind of going over, and then we
matching
see
the speed of the other cars.
Correct.
I gotcha.
Not so matching the speed of the other cars, but it's more like once we see a squad car or a cop car, you start to see everyone slow down. Cop car is out of vision. Everyone goes back to 80, 90, or whatever it is they're doing. It's same thing for dogs. They're very opportunistic. So we like to call the e-collar a cop on a collar. The cop is present, gotta be behaved. Cop is gone, I'm gonna do what I wanna do now. So we like to tell the owners, be consistent as you can. Some owners do some walks with e-collar, some walks without the e-collar. So then if there's a lot of like, then the dog is like, okay, why was this walk different? Oh, there was no cop, that's why. So even if you do everything by the book, it's still normal to see, because again, that's just nature. Humans do it. If we know we can get away with something, we're going to get away with it. Same thing for dogs. So if you notice that it has nothing to do with the way you're practicing, if everything's consistent, it has nothing to do with the training, the e-collar, that's just how dogs are. So just a heads up on that if you notice that from Augusta. Any questions about that?
Makes sense.
Cool. And then were you guys looking at what were you guys looking at, a program, or did you want me to explain how the program is working and what we have, or did you have an idea?
I think we were looking at like the daycare and training program, not like a board and train program.
The daycare and train. Okay.
But I guess if you could explain a little bit more how that's different, obviously, or how you incorporate it into daycare.
Yeah. So the daycare and train would be good, just because this is, although it's overstimulation, like it's just mostly just general obedience for us. So it'll be simple and easy. We're not dealing with anything intense like behavior work. If it was something where we felt like the owner needed to be a part of and kind of do more work with that, then we would say something. But with the daycare train or board and train, whatever you do would work well with you guys. So the daycare train, would be good. So she's just getting the normal day of daycare, but now she's getting trained throughout the day. So I'm pretty sure you've heard an hour activity, an hour rest for how our daycare runs. She would be getting like more activity because she's getting trained. So how that works is we have the 5 day, 10 day, 15 and 20. From listening to you and hearing your goals and everything, I think the 10-day minimum would be good for you guys. For the 10-day program, you get 2 1-hour-long videos. The first video is called the introductory sessions, So that is us teaching Augusta all heel, stay, sit, down, come, and place in the video for the first time. So you're seeing how she's taken to the e-collar for the first time, her first reactions to the e-collar. Maybe we're training her, and maybe you start to see her become flighty. She's trying to get away, right? E-collar didn't make Augusta flighty. That is just Augusta's stress response. When she's stressed out, she wants to get away. So that's why we're seeing that. So then you're going to see how we work through that flight mode behavior and how kind of the progress looks on the video. So heel, stay, sit, down, come, place are all going to be in that video. They're all going to be taught by one of our trainers, Elias. I will be present, make sure everything's going well, because Elias is a good trainer. He's been training for a little bit. But the videos is a new thing for him. So if he's a little awkward, it's probably why. But he's more than capable of working with a dog like Augusta. It's easy. So it'll be Elias explaining how Augusta is doing in the videos. Again, I'll be there to coach him if he needs any help, but I think he'll be fine. So that's the first video. Once Elias teaches the commands, because teaching and then practice and or reinforcing it is very different. So once he teaches it, then she's getting her training sessions by everyone throughout the day. So then she's getting her repetition. So she's getting about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's getting about like 6 to 5 sessions a day. And they're very short, just 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Dogs tend to learn better in smaller increments, but many increments. Or not many increments, many repetitions. So we keep them short for her, and then we're just drilling them out. We also take them for training walks as well. So if the weather's nice, which is it's getting nicer, that's good. We apply the commands outside. So if you're familiar with the area, if not, we have like a dog park here and a Home Depot and PetSmart. They're all right here. So for our training walks, what we try to do is we walk around the dog park. We never go inside it, but then we go to Home Depot. We go inside, we walk around, expose her, do the commands there, and then we come back outside, and then we come back to the facility. So that's like our training walk. So it's great if the training is going well in the videos and it's going well in the facility, but if it cannot be transferred outside, then there's no point of the training. So we need to make sure that it's transferring well outdoors. Again, she still gets to socialize, play. Now she'll be participating in you probably see in the Instagram stories where dogs are on a bed, and we call it, she'll be doing that as well for like her rest time, which is stay on this bed, sit, stand, lay down, chew the bone. I don't care what you do, just don't hop off. So clients are coming in and out, dogs are getting transported, and the placemats are right in the middle of the floor. So she's in the middle of all the action. She needs to learn how to be in a resting state on the bed and not break from it.
And so is that with the e-collar that she's learning that? Okay.
Yes. For her second, or for the other 5 days, you get another video, which is us transferring the obedience to a long leash, which is a fun activity you can do if you want her to kind of advance to off-leash stuff. Everything in the video in the first week you're seeing is kind of on leash, but you're going to find that we're not really using the leash at all. It's just there. All the talking and the training is done to the remote. So basically from day one, we're already training for her to be off leash trained. It's just now with the long leash, you're kind of pushing for more, and you're getting her used to having 30 feet now to make mistakes. So if she, for some reason, becomes flighty again and runs, now she's 30 feet away, and now she's going to have to learn to come back to you from 30 feet away with the e-collar. Okay. So we're just pushing for more, and we're kind of setting her up for off-leash life if that's something you're interested in. But that's the 10-day program. The 15 and 20-day, you're going to get additional videos. So 15, 3 videos, 20-day, 4 videos. The 15-day, the differences are we do the third video is done in the playpen. So you see us with the long leash still dragging, or maybe at that point we can do some off leash work. You can see how that works. But we're training her in the playpen with dogs running around her. So we're pushing for even more. the fourth video for the 20-day program, we take her to Horner Park and we film it for you. And we teach you how the training applies into the real life stuff and how it looks. And we can touch upon off-leash as well, if that's something we can do with her, depending on how she's doing. So those are how the programs are laid out. Like I said, from what I'm hearing, the 10-day sounds kind of like minimum what you're wanting. If you're wanting more control and you want more repetitions and just more training, then the 15 or the 20-day would be a good program for you guys. You can do the 15 and then maybe you're like, I want some more. Then you can buy a 5-day bundle to make up for that 15 there. So you can always add more. You don't need to do them every single day. The daycare trains, they can be.
That was my question.
Yeah, because I think Augusta comes to daycare. How often does she come to daycare?
She typically comes Monday, Tuesday.
Monday, Tuesdays. Is that like because you needed to come to daycare, or you just kind of choose those days, or how does that work?
She needs to come to, we're both at work on those days. And then Max works from home Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I mean, she could go any day. He works at, I don't know, Coyote, like right there. So that's why.
I forgot. Yeah, you're correct. Okay. Mondays and Tuesdays work great. It's just that Elias is off Mondays. So what I would do is, because I work Mondays, so it'll be fine. It's not like she's not gonna get any training or anything like that. But what I would do is do the Mondays and Tuesdays. You said Mondays and Tuesdays, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I would do the Mondays, Tuesdays, and then maybe add a Wednesday or a Thursday. One of those 2 days, or another day later in the week. Just so that Elias gets to work with her, especially for like the first 5 days, I would do it. After those first 5 days, you can go back to the Monday and Tuesday if you like. But for the first 5 days, I'd recommend a third day for that week.
Sure.
Any other questions about the daycare and train program?
I don't think would there be any like cons or benefits to doing if you did like the first 5 days all in a row and then spread out the 10, or it really doesn't matter as long as she's getting like that 3 days? Like I guess, do more clients typically tend to do it like all in a row versus spread out?
Like Monday through Friday type thing?
Yeah.
Some of them do, some of them don't. What I recommend is, if you want, you can. So for the first 5, you can have them all in that first week. And then for your next ones, it could just be like, here and there. Because after those first 5 days, we drill it out, we're training her. But what's really important is the exposure to the training. So what I mean by that is you guys practicing, you guys getting her used to. So if you spread the last 5 days out, because you're going to get your video, you're more than welcome to practice, and then you're more than welcome to, you get follow-up lessons as well. So for the 10-day care and train program, you get 3 hours of one-on-ones with us to transfer the obedience to you guys and make sure everything is functioning correctly. So let's say you do your 5 days. Enrique, let's schedule a follow-up. I saw the video. I've been practicing here and there, but I'm still a little confused. I just want to have a follow-up. We'll have a follow-up, make sure everything's being practiced. Then you go do your homework and you're practicing. And then maybe you want to spread out your last 5 days, because maybe it's like, Enrique, I noticed when we were practicing recall, she tends to get distracted by something. Then it's like, okay. And then maybe you have a daycare and train day and like, we'll focus on recall for this day.
Gotcha.
Then you're kind of learning Augusta and using the tool. And then you're kind of telling us like, giving us feedback, and then we can focus on that for a training session instead of like, we're doing down commands and then you're at home thinking like, her down's fine, I'm struggling with stay or something like that, right?
That makes sense. So more like feedback, or like more interactive kind of training. That was my follow-up question, which you sort of answered. So I know you mentioned like consistency is key, more or less, when it comes to this. So say we did Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that Thursday through Sunday, we're using the e-collar for walks at home already.
Correct, yes.
Got it. Okay.
You only practice the commands once you get your video. So let's say we train her Monday, we tell her how she did and everything. We'll tell you guys how she did. Don't worry about putting the e-collar on Augusta. Don't worry about using it until you get your video. Once you get your video, then you can do whatever you want with the tool and practice with her. What else? And there's something else I'm about to say.
Do we, obviously we have to buy the collar, but like, do we have to provide it for you for training, or do you use ones like at the training facility?
We have like a retail shop here. So we sell prongs, toys, treats, e-collars as well.
Oh, perfect.
So
Okay.
for like our daycare trains and boarding trains, it's easier. We notice that they always like, you know, if you can pull off the shelf and just start, then I'll just buy it from you guys. You just pull it off. That's great. But for in-persons, they tend to order it themselves, and then because they get familiar with it, then we start training with one-on-one, then they have some sort of familiarity with it. But since you're doing daycare and train, we can just bring it off the shelf and everything, and then we'll send it home with you guys, look at the manual, get used to the remote, look at how it turns on, turns off, and stuff like that. Any other questions about the daycare and train program?
Is there like a wait list, or when could we start?
Daycare and train are way more like flexible. So so after this consultation, a follow-up email will be sent out to you from Elizabeth. Elizabeth is going to give you the programs we talked about with the prices, and then she's going to tell you this is the e-collar that Enrique recommended for Augusta. This is the cost. If you want to purchase through us, let us know. You're already signed on to Ginger. We have her shot records. You've already signed the agreement as well, so you're steps ahead. So basically, it's just whenever you're ready. So if like
Cool.
you want to start, yeah. So after you get that follow-up email, if you're like, Elizabeth will ask you, when do you guys want to start? And if you want to start Monday or Tuesday, whatever it is, we'll start that day. Like if you wanted to start next week, we can do that as well.
Okay.
Like I said, Monday, if she comes Monday, we wouldn't start because Elias isn't here, unless he comes and visits, and if he wants to do that's up to him. But Tuesday is when he's here, and that's where we'll get the training started and everything.
Like hypothetically, we could start tomorrow.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So, but she's out. I think Elizabeth is out today. I'll text her and everything, and then it's just whenever.
That's okay, but I'm just trying to sort it through my mind. The other question I had, I know for daycare right now, like we get his work discount. Does that apply to the training sessions as well?
I think that Coyote discount only applies to boarding and regular daycare.
Okay. Third question.
Huh?
Is the payment just in full upfront, or is there any sort of payment plan or anything?
I think, I'm not positive because they changed it. I think you can do payment plans, but before the program starts, it needs to be paid in full. That we don't do the payment plans during the program anymore because owners would sometimes, like I think we've had owners just not pay, and then it was like
Out middle.
Yeah, they kind of use that time, so we stopped doing that. So I think payment plans are still there. I'm not 100% positive, or if it's just all up front. But Elizabeth will be able to answer that question.
Okay.
So I'll let her know that you had that question there. Any other questions?
That's all from me, Max.
Okay. A comment, because you mentioned pros and cons about daycare and train. Pros, we get it done faster. So think of transferring it to in-person. The 10-day bundle is equal to about 6 weeks of in-person.
Oh wow. Okay.
We get it done faster just because we know what we're doing. We just do it. So pros, we get it done fast. Cons, at first, the training will only be tied to the handlers here, right? So that's what the follow-up lessons are there for, is to transfer everything to you guys. Another common concern is, owners have had past experience with other board and train programs, is that, Yeah, I worked with a trainer, but the dog was only good when the trainer was here or handling the dog. Once the trainer left, the dog was just back to normal. That tends to not happen with e-collar because in the videos, let's say we're working with Augusta and her number is 30, for example. 30, when I press a button on 30, it's 30. When you press a button on 30, it's still 30. And then when Max presses a button on 30, it's still 30. So there's no he's stronger than her or she's more stricter than him. It's all 30 is 30 for everyone. Once she gets that feeling of like, oh, this feeling is with mom as well, it's just she's gonna know because she's been drilled so many times. She's gonna know what is being asked of her. So like when we do the first follow-up lesson, owner comes in and the dog's kind of like jumping around and everything. Then we find the working number and the dog goes to the left side where we teach heel and they sit right there with the shoulder there. And the owner's like, what the heck? What's she doing? And I'm like, she's been doing what she's been taught to with the e-collar. So they just go right into that mode of, I know what we're doing here. So I wouldn't worry about, how would it transfer over? We've never seen any issues of the transference. All that we ask, or all that is very important, is the follow-up with the homework and practicing and being consistent with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Because for our boarding trains and daycare and trains, owners tend to think I'm sending my dog here, they're going to come back like a brand new car, right? They're animals, they're dogs. It doesn't really work like that. The follow-up lessons are there to kind of make sure everything's priced and transferring over. So just heads up, you might see a difference. We've had owners say that before the follow-up, they were already noticing the dog was a little more tired as they came home from the daycare. So you might notice that as well. But other than that, I'm trying to think if I'm covering everything. For her regular walking kind of setup, I would just either
Would you drop the harness? Like,
yeah,
okay.
I would get a flat collar, but I wouldn't use this. I don't know if she's on I don't know what kind of collar she's on now, but if it's a snap one where it snaps, I wouldn't use that because those tend to break a lot. What I would get is the one that like it's kind of like a belt. It goes to the loop and you buckle it and then it's there. Those don't break. So I would get one of those if you don't have one already. Other than that, you guys have any other questions?
That was really helpful. Thank you.
If anything pops up, feel free to email us and we'll get back to you. Other than that, keep an eye out for Elizabeth's follow-up email and then we'll be in touch.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Enrique.